Research is hard, but your tools should not be. Subthesis.com is the free alternative to expensive software. Whether you need to calculate Cronbach's alpha or organize your field notes, Subthesis has a tool for it. No paywalls and no registration required. Check the link in the description and let's dive into today's lesson. Welcome to this guide on developing professional communication skills for graduate students. Communication is the medium through which your ideas reach the world. Your brilliant research means nothing if you cannot communicate it effectively. Your professional relationships depend on how you interact with others. Your career advancement hinges on impressions created through countless communications. Yet professional communication is rarely taught explicitly. Students are expected to absorb appropriate styles and norms through observation, leading to uneven development and missed opportunities. Today, we will make explicit what often remains implicit, examining professional email practices, oral communication in various academic settings, and strategies for navigating professional interactions. Strong communication skills distinguish successful academics and professionals across every field. These skills are learnable through attention and practice. The investment you make in developing your communication abilities will pay dividends throughout your career. By the end of this session, you will have developed understanding and strategies across 4 key areas of professional communication. First, you will master professional email communication in academic contexts, learning conventions that make your emails effective and create positive impressions. Email is the dominant medium of academic communication, and getting it right matters enormously. Second, you will develop effective oral communication skills for diverse academic settings, from one-on-one conversations to formal presentations to classroom teaching. Different contexts require different approaches, and flexibility across settings is essential. Third, you will learn to navigate professional interactions with faculty, peers, administrators, and others skillfully, understanding the unwritten rules that govern academic professional relationships. Finally, you will build a professional communication style that advances your career by consistently presenting you as competent, collegial, and credible. Let us begin with the communication medium you will use most frequently, email. Email is the primary communication medium in academia. Every email creates an impression of your professionalism. Understanding email fundamentals helps you communicate effectively and present yourself well. Subject lines should be clear and specific, enabling recipients to understand the email's purpose before opening. Instead of question, write question about assignment deadline for PUBH 601. Instead of meeting, write meeting request, dissertation chapter feedback. Clear subjects help recipients prioritize and find your email later. Appropriate salutations set the right tone. For faculty you do not know well, Dear Professor Smith is safe. As relationships develop, greetings may become less formal, but let the more senior person set the pace. Avoid overly casual openings like hey or no greeting at all with people you do not know well. Email body should be structured and concise. State your purpose early. Use paragraphs to organize distinct points. If your email requires action, make the request explicit and clear. Busy recipients skim emails. Make yours skimmable while still being complete. Close professionally with an appropriate sign-off and signature. Phrases like best regards, sincerely, or thank you work well. Include a signature block with your name, program, institution, and contact information. This professional closure reinforces your credibility. Emailing faculty requires particular attention because faculty receive enormous volumes of email and your communications compete for their limited attention. Respect their time by being concise and showing you have prepared before asking. If you could answer your question through course materials or a quick search, do that instead of emailing. When you must email, get to the point quickly. Faculty appreciate students who value their time. Provide context first, especially if you are not in close regular contact. Remind them of your connection. I am a second-year doctoral student in your health policy seminar. This context prevents confusion about who is writing and why. Make specific requests with clear action items. Instead of I was wondering if we could maybe discuss my paper sometime, write, could we schedule a 30-minute meeting this week to discuss my draft? The first leaves the professor unsure what you want. The second invites a simple yes or scheduling suggestion. Follow up appropriately on unanswered emails. If you do not receive a response within a week, a brief follow-up is acceptable. You might write, "I wanted to follow up on my previous email about the meeting request." Do not follow up daily or interpret non-response as personal rejection. Faculty genuinely have overwhelming email volume and sometimes miss messages. Certain email mistakes are common among graduate students and create negative impressions that undermine your professional standing. Avoiding these errors distinguishes you. Too casual tone is problematic when you do not know someone well or when the context is formal. Using first names with senior faculty you have not met, including slang or emoji, or skipping greetings entirely, can seem disrespectful, even if unintended. Match your formality to your relationship and the context. Vague requests leave recipients unsure how to respond. "I was wondering about your thoughts on my work" is too open-ended. What specifically do you want feedback on? By when? What form should feedback take? Clear requests enable helpful responses. Walls of text without paragraph breaks are hard to read and often go unread. Long, dense blocks cause recipients to skim or defer. Break your email into paragraphs with clear structure. If your email is extremely long, consider whether a meeting would be more appropriate. Sending email when angry almost always goes poorly. If you receive something that upsets you, write a response but do not send it immediately. Wait until you have cooled down, then revise. Many regretted emails would have been prevented by a cooling period. You cannot unsend email. Oral communication in academia spans multiple contexts requiring different approaches. Developing flexibility across these settings is essential for professional success. Formal presentations like conference talks, job talks, and defenses require thorough preparation and structured delivery. These high-stakes contexts demand practice, polished materials, and professional presence. We covered presentation skills earlier, but remember that formal presentations significantly affect how your work and you are perceived. Seminar discussions require thoughtful engagement that demonstrates your preparation and thinking. Contributing meaningfully to discussions shows intellectual engagement. At the same time, knowing when to listen and when to speak demonstrates social awareness. Being the person who dominates every discussion is as problematic as never speaking. Casual conversations at events, in hallways, or over coffee still require professional awareness. You can be friendly and relaxed while remaining appropriate. These informal interactions build relationships and create impressions. Do not assume that casual means unimportant. Adaptability means reading context and adjusting your communication style accordingly. The same person might participate in a formal committee meeting, a casual lunch, and a charged debate all in one day. Professionals shift their communication approach to match each context while maintaining authenticity. Speaking effectively in seminars and meetings demonstrates your engagement and builds your reputation as a thoughtful colleague. Several practices help you contribute well. Prepare to contribute before each seminar or meeting. For seminars, do the reading and note questions or observations you might raise. For meetings, review agendas and think about items where you have perspective to offer. Preparation enables meaningful contribution. Winging it is often obvious. Listen actively before speaking. Understand what has already been said before adding your voice. This prevents repeating points others made and enables you to build on the discussion rather than redirecting it. Demonstrating that you have heard others before speaking shows respect and intellectual engagement. Be concise when you speak. Graduate students sometimes preface comments with lengthy disclaimers or bury their point in excessive context. Get to your actual point efficiently. Listeners will appreciate clarity, and your contributions will have more impact. Build on others' contributions when possible. Phrases like "building on what Maria said" or "I agree with the earlier point," and "I would add" connect the discussion rather than fragmenting it. Acknowledging others demonstrates collegial engagement and creates conversation rather than serial monologue. Asking questions after presentations and in discussions is an important form of academic participation. Effective questions serve genuine inquiry while creating positive impressions of the questioner. Ask from genuine inquiry rather than to display your knowledge. Questions that are really statements with question marks attached, or questions designed to show how smart you are transparent and off-putting. If you genuinely want to understand something, that genuine curiosity comes through and is appreciated. Provide brief context without turning setup into a monologue. Some context helps the presenter understand your question, but extensive preambles that go on for minutes before reaching the actual question are frustrating for everyone. Get to your question efficiently. Formulate your question clearly so both you and the presenter know what you are asking. What specifically do you want to know? Vague questions get vague answers. If you find yourself unable to articulate a clear question, you may need more thinking before raising your hand. Be aware of tone when asking challenging questions. There is a difference between "I am curious about how you account for the selection issue" and "did you not consider the obvious selection issue?" Both address the same substance, but the first invites discussion while the second sounds like an attack. Challenge ideas while respecting people. Interactions with faculty shape your graduate experience and professional development. Navigating these relationships requires balancing respect for hierarchy with genuine relationship building. Respect for hierarchy acknowledges the real power differential between faculty and students. Faculty evaluate you, write recommendations, and influence your career. This does not mean being obsequious, but it does mean being aware of the dynamic and conducting yourself professionally. As relationships develop, some hierarchy may soften, but students should generally let faculty set the pace. Come prepared for faculty interactions. If you have a meeting, bring specific questions or material to discuss. If you encounter a faculty member casually, have something intelligent to say about their work or your shared interests. Preparation creates better interactions and more positive impressions. Follow up on commitments you make. If you tell a professor you will send something, send it. If you commit to completing work by a deadline, complete it. Reliability builds trust. Unreliability damages relationships. Your word is your professional bond. Express appreciation appropriately for faculty help and mentorship. A genuine thank you for their time, feedback, or support is always welcome. Students who acknowledge the effort faculty invest in them strengthen those relationships. Appreciation need not be elaborate, but should be sincere. Your fellow graduate students are colleagues who will be part of your professional network throughout your career. Developing positive peer communication practices serves both immediate relationships and long-term professional interests. Adopt a collaborative rather than competitive mindset. Graduate school can feel competitive, but viewing peers as competitors to beat rather than colleagues to support damages relationships and your own well-being. Success is not zero-sum. Your colleagues' achievements do not diminish yours. Share information generously with peers. Tips about funding opportunities, warnings about difficult requirements, advice about managing relationships with faculty. All of this informal knowledge helps everyone succeed. Hoarding information to gain advantage is short-sighted when you will work with these people for decades. Navigate conflict professionally when it arises. Disagreements happen. Address issues directly rather than through gossip. Assume good intentions until proven otherwise. If you must have difficult conversations, focus on specific behaviors and impacts rather than character attacks. Build relationships with peers that can become lasting professional relationships. The people you study with now may become collaborators, references, and friends throughout your career. Investing in these relationships pays dividends far beyond graduation. Department staff and administrators are essential partners in your graduate education. How you communicate with them matters for getting things done and for your reputation within your department. Staff make the department function. They process paperwork, manage schedules, handle logistics, and know systems that affect your life. Treating them with respect is both right and practical. Students who are rude to staff develop reputations that follow them. Staff talk to faculty, and being known as someone who mistreats staff reflects poorly on you. Always communicate with respect and courtesy. Please and thank you cost nothing. Acknowledging staff as professionals rather than servants is basic decency. If you are frustrated with bureaucratic processes, remember that staff usually did not create those processes and often share your frustration. Make clear requests that help staff help you. Explain what you need and any relevant deadlines. Provide necessary information up front rather than through multiple rounds of back and forth. When staff understand what you need and why, they can often find ways to help even within constraining systems. Express appreciation for staff work. Staff positions are often undervalued and overlooked. Genuine thanks for their help, occasional small gestures of appreciation, and treating them as valued colleagues rather than invisible functionaries create positive relationships and a more pleasant department environment. Professional written communication extends beyond email to include various document types with distinct conventions. Understanding these genres helps you produce effective documents. Memos and reports follow structured formats that facilitate quick comprehension. They typically include clear headings, bullet points where appropriate, and executive summaries for longer documents. Professional writing in these formats prioritizes clarity and usefulness over stylistic flourish. Learn the conventions of documents common in your field. Letters of application for fellowships, jobs, or other opportunities require formal polish. These documents represent you to selection committees who know you only through your writing. Errors, sloppy formatting, or inappropriate tone can eliminate you from consideration. Invest appropriate time in these high-stakes documents and have others review them. When requesting recommendation letters, make it easy for recommenders to say yes. Provide deadlines, descriptions of what you are applying for, and relevant materials that help them write strong letters. Clear organization of your request respects their time and increases the quality of support you receive. Know your audience for all written communication. Documents for academic audiences differ from those for general audiences. Reports for administrators differ from proposals for funding agencies. Adapt your style, vocabulary, and emphasis to what each audience needs and expects. Digital communication extends beyond email into various platforms, each with distinct norms. Managing your presence across these platforms affects your professional reputation. Professional social media presence requires attention to what you share publicly. Platforms like Twitter or LinkedIn are visible to colleagues, potential employers, and students. Decide consciously what professional persona you want to project and align your activity with that intent. This does not mean being boring, but it does mean being intentional. Messaging platforms like Slack, Teams, or text messaging occupy intermediate space between email and conversation. The informality of these platforms can encourage casual communication, but remember that professional norms still apply. What you say in a department Slack channel is visible to colleagues and potentially archived. Video calls have become a major communication medium with emerging professional norms. Ensure appropriate environments, reliable technology, and professional presence even when calling from home. Camera on versus camera off, muting practices, and other conventions vary by context. Digital permanence means that your communications may be preserved indefinitely. Emails can be forwarded, screenshots circulate. Assume that anything you write digitally might become public. This awareness should temper what you commit to text without making you paranoid. Academia is increasingly global, and communicating across cultures is essential for professional success. Developing cross-cultural communication awareness helps you navigate diverse contexts. Academic culture has global commonalities, but local variations. Expectations about formality, hierarchy, directness, and relationship building vary across national and institutional contexts. What seems professional in one context may seem cold or inappropriate in another. Communication styles vary along dimensions like directness. Some cultures favor explicit direct communication while others rely more on context, implication, and indirect expression. Neither is superior, but mismatches can cause misunderstanding. Awareness of these differences helps you interpret others' communication and adjust your own. Language considerations matter when communicating with non-native speakers of your language or when you are the non-native speaker. Speak clearly and avoid idioms that may not translate. Be patient with communication that takes longer. Clear writing helps everyone regardless of native language. Approach cross-cultural communication with cultural humility. You cannot know every culture's norms, but you can remain curious and open to learning. When you make mistakes, acknowledge them and adjust. Assuming your cultural norms are universal creates problems. Recognizing cultural diversity as an asset enriches your professional experience. Difficult conversations about conflicts, disappointments, or sensitive issues are inevitable in professional life. Handling them well preserves relationships and resolves problems. Handling them poorly creates lasting damage. Prepare thoughtfully before difficult conversations. Know what you want to convey and what outcome you hope for. Anticipate how the other person might respond and prepare for various scenarios. Going in unprepared increases the chance of saying something you regret. Choose appropriate timing and setting for difficult conversations. Private settings protect dignity. Adequate time prevents rushing through important issues. Avoid initiating difficult conversations when either party is stressed, rushed, or compromised by other circumstances. Focus on specific behaviors and their impacts rather than character judgments. Instead of "you are disrespectful," try "when you interrupted me during the presentation, I felt undermined." The first invites defensiveness. The second describes something concrete that can be discussed. Specific, behavioral feedback is more actionable and less inflammatory. Seek to understand as well as to be understood. Difficult conversations should be dialogues, not monologues. Listen to the other person's perspective genuinely. You might learn something that changes your view. Even if it does not, demonstrating that you have heard them makes resolution more likely. Receiving critical feedback is challenging but essential for growth. How you receive feedback affects both what you learn from it and how others perceive your professionalism. Manage your initial reactions when receiving criticism. Defensiveness is natural when your work or behavior is critiqued. Notice the defensive reaction without letting it control your response. Taking a breath before responding creates space for more thoughtful engagement. Listen fully before responding to feedback. Hear everything the person has to say before formulating your response. Interrupting to defend yourself prevents you from fully understanding the feedback. You may find that your initial defensive reaction was based on incomplete understanding. Ask clarifying questions to ensure you understand the feedback. What specifically could be improved? Can you give an example? What would you suggest instead? These questions demonstrate engagement and help you understand what action to take. They also show that you are taking the feedback seriously. Thank people for feedback even when it is critical. Giving honest feedback is difficult, and people who take the risk deserve acknowledgement. Saying "thank you for pointing that out" or "I appreciate you telling me" signals professional maturity. It also encourages people to continue giving you valuable feedback rather than avoiding you. Developing your professional voice means finding a communication style that is authentically yours while meeting professional standards. This voice emerges over time through attention and practice. Authenticity means your professional voice should be yours, not an imitation of someone else. You are not trying to become a different person, but to professionalize your natural communication style. Authentic communication is sustainable and credible in ways that forced personas are not. Consistency creates a reliable presence that others can depend on. Whether communicating in writing or speech, formally or informally, your fundamental style should be recognizable. This consistency builds your reputation and makes you predictable in positive ways. Confidence without arrogance demonstrates that you believe in your ideas while remaining open to others' perspectives. Confident communication states positions clearly rather than hedging everything into meaninglessness. At the same time, confidence does not require dismissing others or overstating certainty. The balance is often subtle but always important. Recognize that your professional voice evolves over time. How you communicate at the start of graduate school will differ from how you communicate at the end. Exposure to models, feedback on your communication, and accumulating experience all contribute to development. Be patient with yourself while actively working to improve. Some communication situations require particular sensitivity due to confidentiality concerns, topic sensitivity, power dynamics, or serious implications. Navigating these situations well protects you and others. Confidentiality obligations exist around student information, personnel matters, research data, and other sensitive areas. Know what you should not share and maintain appropriate discretion. Gossip about confidential matters damages your reputation for trustworthiness and may have legal or ethical implications. Sensitive topics including health, personal circumstances, political issues, or controversial matters require careful navigation. You need not avoid these topics entirely, but be thoughtful about context, audience, and your role. What is appropriate to discuss with close friends differs from what is appropriate in professional settings. Power dynamics affect communication in academia. As a graduate student, you occupy positions of both less and more power. You have less power relative to faculty, but more relative to undergraduates you may teach. Be aware of how power dynamics affect what can be said and by whom. Recognize when situations require escalation beyond normal communication. If you encounter harassment, discrimination, safety concerns, or other serious issues, know your institution's reporting mechanisms. Some situations should not be handled through normal conversation, but require formal channels. Excellence in professional communication develops through intentional practice and continuous improvement. Several strategies support ongoing development. Seek feedback actively about your communication. Ask trusted colleagues how you come across in meetings, presentations, or emails. Specific questions generate useful responses. Do my emails seem clear? Do I talk too much in seminars? This external perspective reveals blind spots you cannot see yourself. Observe effective communicators and analyze what makes them effective. How do they structure emails? How do they handle difficult conversations? What makes their presentations engaging? Models provide concrete examples of what excellent communication looks like. You need not copy anyone exactly, but can adapt elements that resonate. Practice deliberately by treating every interaction as an opportunity to develop skills. Before sending an important email, review it consciously. After a meeting, reflect on what worked and what did not. This deliberate approach accelerates improvement compared to passive repetition of habitual patterns. Reflect and adjust continuously. Communication development is never complete. As contexts change, as you take on new roles, as expectations evolve, your communication must evolve too. Regular reflection on what is working and what needs improvement keeps you growing throughout your career. Let us consolidate the essential lessons from today's exploration of professional communication skills. First, master email as your primary professional communication medium. Clear subject lines, appropriate tone, concise structure, and professional signatures create positive impressions. Avoid common mistakes that undermine your credibility. Email competence is foundational for academic professional life. Second, adapt your oral communication to diverse contexts from formal presentations to casual conversations. Different settings require different approaches, and flexibility across contexts demonstrates professional maturity. Prepare for interactions, contribute thoughtfully, and read situations appropriately. Third, navigate professional relationships skillfully with faculty, peers, staff, and others. Respect hierarchies while building genuine relationships. Communicate collaboratively with peers, treat staff with courtesy, handle difficult conversations professionally. These relationships shape your graduate experience and long-term career. Finally, develop an authentic professional voice that is genuinely yours while meeting professional standards. Consistency, confidence, and continuous improvement create communication excellence that advances your career. Your professional reputation is substantially shaped by how you communicate. In our next session, we will explore building your online academic presence, extending professional communication into digital platforms that shape scholarly identity and visibility. Writing the thesis is a marathon, not a sprint, but you do not have to run it alone. If you are feeling stuck with your data or overwhelmed by your sources, let us help. Head over to subthesis.com. It is completely free and designed to make your life easier. You are making progress. Keep going. And don't forget to subscribe for more support.